And you said there's 3 indictments. Are those in separate jurisdictions?
They're just they amend the charges. It was interesting because you had the first indictment, then you had the second indictment, which clarified some of the language, and now this third one that has added 2 charges, and they're all respect to victim 2 in this case. We don't know who victim 2 is.
He knew what he was doing. This was not an absolutely, completely dumb guy or whatever. So Epstein, in my opinion, if you look at the case, it's pretty clear he knew where a lot of bodies were buried. Maybe not all of them, like people say, but he knew where a lot of them were up to the most powerful people. Diddy, I think he's probably used as more of a useful idiot on a not need to know basis. And so I don't think, and maybe I'm wrong, and I kind of hope I'm wrong about this if that is the case and he's a part of something bigger. Like, I don't even know if he would be able to name people or who's actually using him, because I think he's just a sick fuck that they probably took advantage of being a sick fuck and said, all right, go be a sick fuck now on our dime.
Well, the allegations put forward are that he has the tapes, right? He's got tapes of people that were specifically used and kept for a reason to exert his influence, exert intimidation. And you wonder what those tapes will be. And by the way, I do wonder if they're presented in a trial, like how much we'll know about them, right? There has to be, they're not just going to, I just don't imagine, I think there's going to have to be a protocol put in place that might have to be sealed, where they're not just going to play it on a video screen no, that's not true. They'll have it here's what I think they're actually going to do. If I actually had to take a guess, this is what I think they're going to do. I think the jurors are going to have video screens in front of them with headphones and are going to watch it, and nobody in the courtroom else is going to see it. And then afterwards, a witness will be questioned about it in front of the jury, but I don't think any of us will ever know what those videos are, or the details of the videos, or ever see those videos.
Well, that is the thing. Like when I'm saying the people he would name, I'm going off what you're saying as far as like the actual operation of sex trafficking. But to your point, the people who might have enjoyed these sick activities, absolutely will involve some extremely famous people that could be. Maybe that could be a bargaining chip.
No, I don't see it. I think because there would be no deal that he would have taken, and I don't think I will tell you this much. I do find it very interesting that we are, what is it, May? Oh, it's April 5th. Okay. So we're a month away from the trial. Okay. He's charged with racketeering conspiracy, which means you are in agreement with others to further a illegitimate criminal enterprise, and sex trafficking, and he's the only one charged in this case.
Yeah.
Crazy. So it makes me wonder, are there going to be people who testify who will be questioned by his defense counsel? Did you work out a deal? Did you get immunity to testify? I mean, who are his co-conspirators? Who are they? The assistants, the managers? I don't know. I don't know who they are. And that's the same concern that we had with the Ghislaine Maxwell case.
Yes, trafficking and nobody.
Yeah.
In that scenario, though, that's crazy. That scenario.
Who's he in agreement with? Who's the conspiracy with? Usually you have a conspiracy and they're all charged together, right? You know what it is.
Yeah.
There's a conspiracy. The brothers, I think the Alexander brothers are charged with conspiracy. Conspiracy together.
The real estate guys.
Yeah, the brothers. Yeah. Makes sense. You have to have an agreement between one or more people. And there has to be overt steps taken in furtherance of that agreement. Okay. What would he just agree with himself? I mean, who are the people? Now, the problem with this federal case, and I've been following almost every filing, is we do not know what the evidence is. The defense does, but we don't, because all of it's been sealed. And if any filings you see, half of it's redacted. It's all blacked out. I don't know what the evidence is. I don't know what the case is. We're going to see on May, and then we'll have a much clearer picture of the angle of their case, who they plan to call. I believe, again,
you've read the indictment. Right?
Oh, I've read all 3. And I've read all the filings. But I would say I'm fairly confident that victim 1 in the case is Cassandra Ventura. I think they just announced yesterday that victim 1 is going to identify herself. So
we're going to find out.
Cassandra Ventura would identify. I don't know about the prosecutors are trying to have victims 2 through 4 not identify themselves. So they would testify as Jane Doe number 1, Jane Doe number 2. We'll see if the court agrees. But at the very least, we'll know who victim 1 is.
And you said there's 3 indictments. Are those in separate jurisdictions?
They're just they amend the charges. It was interesting because you had the first indictment. Then you had the second indictment, which clarified some of the language. And now this third one that is added 2 charges. And they're all respect to victim 2 in this case. We don't know who victim 2 is, but it regards conduct from 2021 through 2024, which is interesting because if that timeline is accurate, then that is after Sean Combs was initially hit with that lawsuit from Cassandra Ventura back in 2023. Yes. So he allegedly engaged in illegal behavior even through 2024 through his arrest. Now, we don't know who victim 2 is, but the new charges are sex trafficking of victim 2 and transportation to engage in prostitution with victim 2. And it'll be interesting to see who this person is. Although, again, we might not know.
You had talked about this earlier with like, it could just be he's a part of these. Technically, if you're the defense, you could say, well, these are consensual legal freak-offs or whatever.
That's the best defense.
Do we know any of the evidence yet of the transportation aspect of it? Because that would mean if I'm incorrect here, please correct me, but that would mean you are, in this case, as Sean Diddy Combs, planning to have other people picked up probably against their will and in some way via plane or bus or fucking car, whatever it is, transported to where you're going to be and use them in ways that are against their will.
Based on the filings that I've seen, it seems that it would be hotel receipts, like hotel invoices, probably travel records, either by private plane, maybe car. And that becomes important, particularly with, I think it's fair to say, that commercial sex workers will testify about what they saw and what they heard and how they were transported from A to B. What was that kind of process? Who gave them the money? How did it work? So I think it's definitely going to be a case built on documentary evidence. It's going to be based on those receipts and to what extent they exist. But I think that those are things that prosecutors, even in their initial filings, have talked about. Yeah.
And this starts next month?
Starts next month. It's crazy. Oh, wow. This case, I didn't think was going to start this soon. Like, he got arrested in September of 2024. Now trial in May. It doesn't usually happen that way, especially for a federal case. But he is of the opinion that he doesn't want to spend one more day in jail. There is an argument that he has been putting the fire to the feet of the prosecutors, basically saying, I want to go to trial as soon as possible. Okay, I don't want to spend one more day. He may think he really has a legitimate shot to be found not guilty and he can move forward. Because look, from a state point of view,
move forward.
If he's acquitted, right? If he's acquitted, he's not facing criminal charges in another jurisdiction. There's statute of limitations issues. Those, if there were potential state charges in New York or other places, those claims might be too old. They might be time barred. For example, the Cassandra Ventura 2016 tape, they can't bring him up on, I don't know if it's assault or battery in California, but they can't bring him on those charges. The claim's too old.
Long ago.
It's too old. So his next battle will be all the civil cases and trying to fight that. If he, but he wants to get out of there. He, by the way, I haven't mentioned this yet. I think that the reason he surrendered himself in New York before he was arrested, the reason he never skipped town, surrendered his passport, I believe he legitimately believed, in my opinion, that he was going to make bail, that he was going to be let out. And if that was the case, he probably wouldn't want to go to trial right now. He probably, let's push this trial out as long as possible. I'll be on house arrest, whatever. But because he was denied bail, and I think was shocked that he was denied bail, he was like, I got to get out of here. Let's go to trial as soon as possible.
Yeah, he's a narcissistic fuck. He thinks that the whole world operates around him, and but that takes an extra level of complete lack of self-awareness, thinking that.
well, no. From a legal point of view, he wouldn't be the only person accused of sex trafficking who could be let out on bail. There was the guy who headed up Abercrombie and Fitch.
Yes,
Mike Jeffries. He was let out. I mean, he was out on bail. And look, he's older. He's not accused of racketeering.
This is Diddy, though.
Yeah, and look, he's facing more serious charges and more extensive charges. So, but he thought that he could make an argument. I'm cooperative. I'll always show up. You don't have to worry. But there was an element of danger. There was an element that he was a flight risk. And there was evidence that he was intimidating witnesses and alleged victims in this case. Yeah.
What's the evidence of that?
Oh, so there was evidence that as this was coming out, he reached out to a potential witness, probably in this case, to kind of, color her testimony. There was evidence that while he's been in the Metropolitan Detention Center, the MDC out in Brooklyn, he has been reaching out to or using like third-party channels to reach out to witnesses or have people reach out to these witnesses. And so when that evidence was presented, they're like, this guy, imagine he's out. Even if you, and he actually did something interesting. He put forward a bail package where he was going to hire a private security firm to watch his every movements. There was an argument. Can we trust them? You're hiring them. You're paying them. But it didn't work. It didn't work. And the judge, he kept, every court he went to denied him bail, and he gave up the fight.
Do you think that it is going to be more of an advantage to him or disadvantage to him that he's pushing for the trial to be so fast? Like, do you think it's harder for the prosecution to make this case or for him to defend it?
So the idea is you try to rush the prosecution because you feel like they're not ready. And okay. The other way of looking at it is, no, the prosecutors are ready. Are you going to be ready? I mean, he was just hit with a superseding indictment yesterday. Is he going to be ready in a month?
What's the new one say?
It's the same stuff, but now he's hit with 2 more charges with regard to a victim 2. So sex trafficking of victim 2. It's actually interesting. Sex trafficking of victim 2 and transportation to engage in prostitution of victim 2. But there's also a change in the language a little bit. There was I don't know why they did this. The prosecutors made it clear that if he was brandishing a weapon, it was towards a female victim, and that he held a female victim over a balcony. I believe they just added the word female. And I was like, why they feel that need of specificity going into us. I mean, I guess, I don't know.
He had interesting taste.
Yeah. So they made a couple of changes. I don't think it's really going to change the case per se so much for them. But in a normal case, if he was out on bail, if he was out right now, his lawyers would say, they just hit us with a new indictment. We need more time to work on this, but not here. They want to go to trial.
Thank you guys for checking out this clip. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe and hit the like button on this video. It is a huge, huge help. And if you'd like to check out this clip's full podcast episode, that link is in the description below or right here. And finally, you can follow me on Instagram and X by using the links in my description below.